Peace and blessings, family. Sisagily. Let's just get right to it, okay? Um, this is Twitch. I have problems with that name, but you know, he's gone. I'm not saying that's a good thing that he's gone, but I'm just saying, you know, my responses to black-like people are different because I recognize them as our enemy in our skin clothing, which makes them more hazardous. And thereby, because I am about the perpetuation of our people, that doesn't just mean, like benign tolerance, a laissez faire attitude towards this mindset, because we have an active enemy who's constantly stacking the propaganda deck so that we wind up hating each other and thinking we're the worst people on the planet. When you go out and you do further research, you recognize hasn't got a friggin' leg to stand on. I don't have the time. That I don't know how I ever did all the videos I used to do on my other channel, but I'm like loving being an urban homesteader. So there's an awful lot of stuff I'm doing, including writing my next novel. So I just can't. But when I saw this, I was like, okay, I can't not say anything. However, the other shares that I wish I could do would cover different nations and their unique ways of being full of crap and just, we're not the worst. That's all I can scream. There's all sorts of people out there doing things that we would know better than to ever even ponder doing, leaving big messes all over the world like they own it. And then they have certain people, like they got this one guy, Johnny Somali, who I would conclude is an agent, and they have him in South Korea just whipping up a just fake whole lot of hoopla, and in order to taint South Koreans' concept of who black people are, when ain't nobody talking about the Chinese. They're going all over to these different Asian nations like they own them and trashing a joint and pissing on everything, crapping in the middle of the streets. It's wild. But anyway, back to Twitch. And so this is his widow, Allison something. I don't give a damn about her at all. What I find absolutely fascinating is this fight she's been having with the family. I do believe or Allison Holker. She might have been her, or it might have been Kobe's widow, who I think it's her, wouldn't allow Twitch's family access to the grandchildren. And I just looked at that, and I know if you on my channel regular and you understand what I'm sharing with you, that who couldn't have predicted that? Because when a black-like man hooks up with a non-black woman, it is a homosexual act. It is an act of desperation to get approval from the world around, because whatever it is going on in his own mind, he's not adequate enough to represent himself. He is not the head of that household. And he's not with a woman who can relate to being black as if she is herself. He's running to relate to being white. The father of those children is her daddy. Okay, I mean her biological daddy. It's not that black man who's out of his mind, all right? And so I wasn't shocked to hear anything about that. But this whole book thing, where between her and the family, and she's like written some biography where she emphasizes his drug addiction, and that's what she's saying is the cause of him going out. But to me, that's just a long-winded suicide in and of itself. He was still trying to stave off some confused suicidal reasoning on his part that didn't allow him to see the absolute majesty and beauty of being alive. You cannot experience that if you are bowing down to a people who can't stand you. You are going to believe every single little nuance behavior you have that proves why they don't like you, even though that has nothing to do with Black us. The reason why they hate us is because it is their nature, and as evidence in their actions. If you don't do this as a white person, then I don't mean you. But overall, based on the incredible history, they act more like predator mimics. That is a pathology that just needs something to hunt. I know there's a scientific dynamic between black and the white of it because of that melanin and that carbon. But at the same time, you've got lots of species out there that are predator mimics, and they all have a just behavioral disposition that can describe a human type of such a nature, where when I think about them, they want to think of themselves as more human than everybody else. And if they cannot get their way, they will wipe out everybody just because they have a difference of opinion, a different way of being. That's why in Africa you have over 6,000 separate tribes. But in Europe, pretty much everybody looks and does the same thing. But they get to be separate nations. For us to even acknowledge that we're a separate people, we have been so traumatized that we can't even contemplate the possibility. And so with this woman to write a book where she's like exposing, did you ever even love the man? I doubt it. It's the next day, but I had to add just this further thought, which is Allison gets all the profits, so no one ostensibly has an ability to, they could still write a book that goes against what she's saying, but they're not going to earn any, writing a book is really time consuming. And to do so, and you have no chance of recouping your losses for time spent doing that endeavor, she's shut down any, rebuttal against what she's saying whatsoever altogether. And it turns out, yes, because I looked it up, she did keep the children from their black family, which would explain why the eldest daughter, the eldest child, is now defending her mother for the book that she's writing, for everything that she's doing. And I don't need to know the particulars of what's going on. Your public attitude is one of a predator mimic, where you just assume you have the right to control a man who you obviously have absolutely no regard for the people he came from. You get to control everything about him, even posthumously. That's very predatorial of you. Why would you do this unless it's all about the money? And that's what she's saying up here. She got a legal right, according to their laws, to be the only source of any books written about this person who I'm just like, who is he? Why do I care? But by creating all of this back and forth drama, I know someone as vile and vain, look at her face, she's disgusting, as she is, And she just wants the notoriety. She wants the fights. She wants this black family in agony. And she's gonna, in my conclusion, she would completely brainwash the children, and so that if they had any remnant, because sometimes biracials, they can snap out of it and realize, wait a minute, right? No, I don't want to be with that side of the family because they're a little on the overtly mean side. Like, I don't remember, but it's some religious dude, him and his wife, they're in jail over fraud or whatever, and their son had married a black woman, and the grandfather and the grandmother were raising their daughter and calling the mother ashy. I'm like, that's that daughter's grandparents. And so for biracial to snap out of it and hopefully recognize you've been robbed. You've been robbed of your melanin. And right now I speculate that there might be a deliberate slaughter going on of biracials. And I cannot stand when any child is harmed of any origin. I don't like when people, grown folks, are harmed of any origin. But I'm just saying, I notice a pattern going on. It is not healthy to be dropping your seed off in non-black territories and just trusting, because you've been brainwashed to think this way, they're going to be raised by women or by men, by people who are so much better than me and mine. Right? So I'm just, like, hopefully the children can snap out of it, but with her writing books trashing their own father, that's terrible. I don't care if she says a couple of good words about him, right? That is, certain things you just keep to yourself. You don't get out there and just tell everything about what's going on, right? And so for her, she's saying profits will all be mine. How vile, how vicious, how low life. Right? Now, the reason why I go even mentioning these swirlers and the outcomes of their relationships, and it reminds me of one of those love match shows where this black woman married this Arab guy, and I knew as soon as I saw them that they would be getting divorced soon enough, and they're getting divorced, so many of them. That's what happens, because it's imbalance, and especially when you have a man, and a man's supposed to be in charge of his home. Not a dictator, not a tyrant, right? They got that problem. But I'm just saying, when it's like a non-black man, if you have a chance, there's lots of non-white, non-black people out here who their melanin isn't working right for them either. Ours works right. When once we learn the truth, that's the truth. That's how I was when Dr. She woke me up and I realized, oh my God, they are the devil. If you're not the devil, I'm not talking about you, okay? But are you? Yeah, you're supposed to be in charge. And when you're not, it is not as if that nature goes away. It doesn't. And so I talk about these entities because I recognize that all of us have been brainwashed, tainted with this mindset that is a reflex at this point. It is so generationally passed on, epigenetically seared into our souls, so that we automatically just give a deference to these non-black people. They're the smartest, they're the this is, they're the that, and that's the man-made radiation, where they're doing what they're doing and it's destroying our whole friggin' planet. And it's just crazy to me that I should be the only one examining that in such depth. And so that's why I went on to talk about these folks, because when I saw the black female swirlers, like, I don't know where she's moved on to or not, but historically, Crystal and Karazin, and then Cynthia G, watching her, suddenly she was like, oh, Neander thugs and stuff like that. And then she took down her content about that, and it's nonstop hate on the black man. When I saw that, I was like, this is that mindset where we just automatically assume these people do no wrong. When that predator mimicry has no bottom to it. in terms of the doctrine, and because they are human, certain, like they call themselves a mankind, a kind of a man, I'll use their language, it winds up just being complicated but not complicated, where they have a satanic doctrine that's more than just something written on Aleister Crowley, list of how to be a Satanist, how to be the most evil man in the world. It is a nature that then they write down. And it's a nature of using whatever means they can. That's why they got the AI, so they could come up with even more means to be despicable. Whatever means they can, they are about what Mark Zuckerberg had on his t-shirts. He's saying, oh, we're not going to censor anymore, but he's not going to tell the truth about what he had on his t-shirts. It's Caesar or it's nothing, right? Carthage must be destroyed. That's us, okay? And so they will do and employ anything because they literally mean it's them or it's nothing. I've read about a certain teeny tiny little country that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, just bombing people, threatening that if they're not given absolutely just control of everything and everybody doesn't follow the script like they're supposed to, like Hellaware didn't follow it, that they are going to do a mother of all bombs themselves. I'm just saying, there's no no bottom. That's what I said before. And every time I turn around, I see their confessions about that, so that it's not just my feverish imagination. And many of us have done that similar research. I'm just saying. Right? Predator mimic, that's like, biological descriptive, but it's also spiritual emptiness, total vacuousness that we can never, ever just hope to therapyize out of them. That's like going up to I don't know, I don't want to, because I like lions, but then again, I wouldn't go up to a lion and just, yo, hey, what's up, dude? Right? And there's a lot of people who've lost their lives with these big cats, thinking that they could turn them into cute, cuddly little kitties, and you can't. Okay? I'm just saying. Go through my It's the Radiation playlist so you could get the details of why I do what I do. But when it comes to these swirling mindsets, we got to snap out of it at every single level so we have a chance at rescuing this planet. Because there's predator mimics that will infest one bug, that will infest the body of another bug, and then these things start growing out of it. It's just, it's nasty. Without a planet, it's beyond nasty. It's intolerable. And that's how much they have infested every level of existence with their fissioning of man-made radiation. All right? All right. I love you. I'll be back hopefully like in maybe 9 days or something like that, so I can continue in what must be done. Peace and blessings, straight black pride, and yes, please go on over to 25000yearcycle.org, where I've already been working tirelessly to be here for you in ways that are entertaining and instructional in terms of getting the radiation out of our bodies. And Dr. She has been doing the same thing. That website is a place where we heal. Peace and blessings.